This is an unidentified tombstone of a child who was killed in a bomb attack at the Saeed Shahadas High School in western Kabul, along with 85 other teenagers studying there. Written on a tombstone was, "There is no heir left." This signals that the girl's siblings have been killed too, or that this is the surviving victim of a family that was killed in a previous attack. And these pieces of equipment belong to dozens of children and teenagers who were killed today along with that anonymous girl. The parents trying to find sign of their children. These images show the height of ethnic hostility towards civilians, which took place in the Afghan capital before the complete withdrawal of the United States and NATO. Who is to blame? It does not matter now whether the government or the Taliban are behind this attack. It is certain that these victims will never come to live again, but the government has the responsibility of protecting the civilians. Are the people of Afghanistan falling victim to a horrible big game led by the Taliban and the Afghan government? There are more than 1 million people living in western Kabul, most of them Hazaras. Their leaders work with the government as advisors and deputies. They react to these catastrophes and only write statements with the Afghan government as a sorrowful reaction. The Hazaras makes up more than 20% of Afghanistan's population, although this figure is currently kept secret by the official government, and the Afghan government has refused to clarify the census of Afghanistan for 40 years. Afghanistan is made up of different ethnic groups, but unfortunately, politics in this country are dominated by a single ethnicity. This leads to the disappearance of other ethnic groups. Afghanistan's situation remember us of going to another fully engage in an ethnic and civil war, just before the withdrawal of NATO and US troops.
Yesterday my sister and I went to the market to buy Eid and school clothes. But today she is no more. She was a very kind sister, but I don't have her anymore.
Just in Kabul, more than 85 people were killed and 150 injured, all of them teenage female students. All of them were of Hazara ethnicity. The Afghan president blamed the Taliban for the attack, but they pointed the finger at the Kabul government. But in reality, both of them are responsible because they both benefit from such incidents. Regarding this tragedy, who is responsible for these ethnic killings, and why are they never arrested?
If your peace talks do not succeed, should you have to kill innocent people every day, and why? Which Muslim kills innocent people?
Well, of course, people have been killed for about 20 years.
People of Afghanistan's opinion believes that the address of this kind of terror and attack is the government hiding team with confirmation of President Ashraf Ghani.
Government and security authorities for several years now, targeted plots against a certain stratum have been carried out for the purpose of genocide, but there has not been any decisive reaction and it has always been ignored. And I have no doubt that a hidden circle within the government supports these plans.
The people consider the government to have done the greatest service to the Taliban and terrorist groups.
What does this government want from the residents in western Kabul? You killed our elites. You took our children. You took our brothers and fathers.
The government has fabricated ISIS to threaten other ethnic groups in Afghanistan and sometimes uses this group as a cover for such catastrophes. The government and the Taliban have effectively divided Afghanistan among Pashtuns under the slogan of democracy, war, and peace. The slogan of democracy and peace comes from the Afghan government, and the slogan of war from the Taliban. they are from the same ethnic lineage and have strived for ethnic domination. While their goal is the same, their slogan is different. The goal is to remove other ethnicities from power and reduce their resistance in the future. These are the key persons from the current government, and they all belong to one ethnic group. These three people are known in the virtual world of Afghanistan, as they are the ones who make fundamental but biased decisions. Their most relevant actions include ousting other ethnic groups from key government positions and using female government officials to cover up major corruption. Among the three government officials is a young man who has repeatedly offended the United States in the past, Hamdullah Mohib, and hopes that the Taliban will accept him as the next president after the peace deal. During these years, Hamid Karzai and Ashraf Ghani played their own roles regarding the foreign forces, the United Nations, and the United States. For 20 years, pretending to be at war and destabilizing southern Afghanistan, they divided the resources and money of the government agencies between the Taliban and their families. Hamid Karzai always calls the Taliban brothers.
Despite criticizing me for calling the Taliban my brother, I still consider the Taliban my dissatisfied brothers.
Ashraf Ghani made it clear at the beginning of the presidential campaign that he wanted to ensure justice in prisons and for the victims.
98% of Bagram prisoners belong to one ethnicity and language. That's not fair, and I want the night raids in the south and the prisoners of Bagram to be even and belong to all ethnic groups. I can proudly tell you that I released Pashtun prisoners from the government prisons. No Pashtuns are to be in prisons.
Most of the Taliban prisoners released have returned to battle. These two presidents, as the heads of the Afghan government, redirected the war from the south of Afghanistan to the north via a targeted plan by relocating citizens in the north of Afghanistan. Previously, the government hiding body, who had carried out many undercover assassinations, threatened the leader of the Uzbek General Dostum in northern Afghanistan.
Instead of the air support I had asked for in the north, the Security and Presidential Council had planned to kill me and ambush my people in my path. They had planted mines everywhere and had destroyed the roads. They had moved gunmen to the trenches. When I told the Security Council that northern Afghanistan was insecure, the head of security said okay, but it really didn't work until the Taliban moved north and took over.
Most of the leaders of the Tajiks, another ethnic group living in Afghanistan, were assassinated in these dangerous games.
A suicide bomber attacked me as I was coming to my office in my caravan.
Most importantly, Afghan tribal leaders were recruited again by the presidential palace after receiving death threats by the government. The Sikhs of Afghanistan have also been targeted to be removed from Afghanistan.
Officials and dignitaries told me that because you are not a Muslim, you are not allowed to speak in the name of God for justice and equality.
The blast, like several other blasts in the past, is a death threat to other Afghanistan's minorities. Now we can better understand the bloody assassinations and the events in Kabul. This game of threatening tribal leaders has now reached the lives of citizens. They use threats and killings of ordinary people to silence the voices of other tribes. Human rights organizations and international organizations in the future peace process of Afghanistan must not allow the current leaders of the government and the Taliban to return to power with these bloody games in Afghanistan. Before leaving Afghanistan, the UN and US government have the responsibility to recognize this kind of targeted attack as genocide and hold both the government and the Taliban to account regarding the situation for minorities in Afghanistan. According to the Afghan peace process, the United Nations is in charge of bringing the leaders of the government and the Taliban to justice in international courts. Concerning such devastating tragedies, they should be asked why the ethnic power struggle has led to women and children being sacrificed.
لغت‌های انگلیسی است و این کتابچه رو که پارگیش می‌بینید